Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Preston Kelly Show. My name is Preston Kelly, of course, and this is episode 7 of the podcast. We're trying to keep it consistent. Yes, this is coming out a day later than I would have hoped it to come out, but we're getting it done because there is a lot to talk about here in the sports world that we're going to dive right into. Now, this week, there's a lot to talk about from both football and baseball. Of course, the NFL just wrapped up in the week 5, and MLB is right in the middle of the playoffs right now. In fact, we are right in the middle of the divisional series where we've already seen one team manage to already punch their ticket to the ALCS and others still fighting to get to their respective championship series as well. We will dive into all of that here in just a little bit, but we're going to start out this week's episodes the same way that we always do, and we're going to talk about some news and some updates, particularly coming from the NFL. And this covers anything from injuries to trades to anything that's worthy that is worthy of talking about. Excuse me, as I slipped up a little bit there. But I'll go ahead and cover 2 injuries that stick out more than less that do impact these teams if these guys are unable to play. We'll start out with the guy who is the newest to our injury report, and that's Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, as we stand today, is Thursday, October 9th, and he has not practiced yet this week. He is dealing with the foot injury. Of course, the Cardinals are coming off of a downright embarrassing loss to the Tennessee Titans, if you guys did see the way that game did go. But Kyler Murray is seemingly dealing with a foot injury of some sort, so we'll see if he's able to go tomorrow. If he's not able to participate tomorrow in practice, that'll probably be a good indicator that he will not be playing in this week's game for the Cardinals. But they are definitely looking for him, especially after how this past week's game went against the Titans. I mean, they should have blew that Titans team out. They had that game in their hand for the most part, pretty much all the way up until the last quarter, pretty much of that game, with the 3 mistakes that they pretty much had. The 3, videos that we saw with DeMarco's fumble into the end zone for a touchback, the second week in a row that we saw that happen. Kyler Murray's fumble, that's exactly what it was. The snap hit him directly in the face because he's 4 foot tall, and that ended in a turnover. And then that just wild interception turned into a touchdown for the Titans, where Cam Ward threw an interception. The Cardinals player who picked it off fumbled it. They were in the red zone. He fumbled it. The ball managed to go all the way into the end zone after being kicked around by different players. And Tyler Lockett, you haven't heard his name probably in a good while. Tyler Lockett was able to dive on that ball, and they scored the touchdown and scored a last-second field goal to beat the Cardinals 22-21. So obviously, Arizona not feeling too good right now, and especially trending this week too, Jonathan Gannon, the head coach, a video surfaced of him punching DeMarco after he had fumbled the ball into the back of the end zone for a touchback, for a turnover. He came back and he was absolutely heated, yelling in his face, and he ended up hitting him. Now, I'm sure you will hear a lot of, old players and coaches say that's all part of the game. But, when you're watching as a viewer and you see these things pop up on social media, that's probably not the look that you want to give off if you are Jonathan Gannon and the Arizona Cardinals, to which he did end up having a press conference and pretty much apologizing, not only to the public, but to the team and DeMarco himself, because that's, in his quotes, that's not who he wants to be. That isn't who he is. So he obviously wanted to address those things and make sure that stuff was cleared up. And good on him for at least coming out and apologizing and making everything clear of how, poor of a decision that probably ended up being. But the Cardinals, they need to get back on the right track this week. I don't know off the top of my head. Bad journalism by me. Don't know off the top of the head who they have this week. I believe, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who I think it might be the Indianapolis Colts. Now that I think about it, I think that is indeed who. That is exactly who they're playing. They have the Colts this weekend. So, and that Colts team is hot right now. The 4-1 Colts. So we'll see what they're able to do with or without Kyler Murray. But that is indeed a big loss for the Arizona Cardinals if they are not able to have him, especially coming off the week that they did. But another quarterback injury that is indeed worthy about talking about is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, this would be the second week in a row the Ravens will be without him. He's dealing with a hamstring injury of some sorts. We haven't seen Lamar Jackson since they took that absolutely horrible loss to the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead a couple weeks ago. He was out this past game against the Houston Texans, and the Texans absolutely obliterated the Ravens team. And this is shocking to say. The Ravens are 1-4. They are 1-4. Now, I know it's not, good to make excuses here, but this Ravens team is so badly hurt right now, dealing with a bunch of injuries. And, that always can be seen as maybe not the best excuse, as you can definitely talk about the San Francisco 49ers, who we'll talk about here in just a little bit. They have been pretty banged up all season, missing players, and it's all about these other guys stepping up and, not even flinching at all, picking up right where they left off and continuing to have dominant wins. So you look at the teams like the Baltimore Ravens, it's like, why can't we get guys in the building that are able to do that? Well, with or without Lamar Jackson, still this team is 1-4, and they've only lost one game without him. And, we were fully expecting this team to be, I had them down as the number 2 team and said that they were the best team in the AFC, and they have just not looked like that at all. And, there's still, yes, a lot of football to be played in the season, but if you want to get something going and to maybe get hot, it needs to start now. And we at least need to lose. If we're going to lose, we need to lose close games at least. I mean, we're losing games in blowout fashion now to Lamar Jackson and all these other guys who are hurt. It's like Marlon Humphrey, Hamilton, who missed this past week, Roquan Smith. These guys need to get healthy because they are big impact players for this Ravens team. And if they want to have any shot, really, at even looking towards a playoff berth, they need to get healthy. That's for sure. But other news that's not related to injuries or anything like that, we have now a quarterback trade. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals have been struggling lately. Jake Browning has been playing quarterback for Joe Burrow, who we're not going to see for 3 months with his toe injury. They have absolutely been struggling. Jake Browning comes in the past few weeks that he's been quarterback. He has a worse touchdown interception ratio where he's only thrown 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. We were all saying, even before Browning was really the official starter of the team, that this team needs to trade for a quarterback that can play and keep this Bengals team playing legit football, especially now that this division seems like, and not just the division, but you look at now, the Ravens and the Browns both are not playing good football. The only team that has been really playing really good football in that division is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if we can get a legit quarterback in here, maybe we can start playing some competitive football. Jake Browning was not giving them for that team. So what do? They go get Joe Flacco from the Cleveland Browns, who recently just got benched for Dylan Gabriel. So this is a smart move ultimately by the Bengals to go find a quarterback in general that they can start and that they can probably trust to get their receivers the football, and that they can start playing great football on the offense, and that'll help the defense as well. Now, Joe Flacco, I don't think was at the top of anybody's list, maybe prediction-wise for a player, quarterback-wise, that the Bengals could go out and get and trade for. But this does make a lot of sense. Joe Flacco, obviously a seasoned vet, but for sure, was able to lead the Browns to the playoffs here a few seasons ago, where he really just came straight off the couch. And now you put him on this team, you put him on that offense, and you're like, okay, maybe this Bengals team can start playing good football. I mean, at least if we're not throwing 3 interceptions a game like Jake Browning is, and they're really going to have a shot at winning more games now, because this is one of the best offenses truly in the NFL when it's healthy. Now, you put Joe Flacco on that team with guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. Really, ultimately, as a Jamar Chase fantasy owner, I'm sitting here jumping for joy, because now this means that, Joe Flacco, he loves to throw the football. He absolutely loves to throw the football and get the football to his main guys a lot of times a game. Like we saw what he was able to do with Jerry Jeudy a couple of seasons ago. So now we're going to see what he's able to do this week. And with the Bengals, he's already been named the starter, and they are playing the Green Bay Packers, which, if you remember, a few weeks ago, the Browns beat the Packers, and who was their quarterback for that game? Joe Flacco. A lot to look forward to this weekend watching the Bengals and seeing how Joe Flacco fits into the offense. If it's good, we got ourselves a quarterback for Joe Burrow until he's able to come back and hopefully keep this team looking for maybe towards a playoff push. This team's really good, but they were just missing a dominant quarterback with Joe Burrow going down, and maybe they got that with Joe Flacco, and we'll see what they're able to do. A free agent news that that I didn't have wrote down, but I just remembered here a second ago. Odell Beckham Jr. was on the Pivot podcast. If you know what that is, that's a show ran by Ryan Clark and a couple other guys, former football guys. He was on the Pivot podcast talking about, his future in playing football, and who he would like to play for if he was given the chance to play football again. He mentioned on the podcast that he is currently serving or will have to serve a 6-game suspension from the NFL, the PED suspension policy, which is 6 games. But ultimately, the main thing talking to Odell Beckham was, are you still going to continue to play football? And if so, who do you want to play for? And obviously OBJ said, of course, he still wants to play football. And he gave a list of the teams that he wanted to play for. And I'll try to remember off the top of my head. He said the Chiefs. He would love to play for the Chiefs. He would love to go back and play for Sean McVay and the Rams. Geez, I'm blanking. I know he said the Giants as well. He would love to play football for the Giants, and I'm blanking on the 4th team. It's not exactly coming to me right now, but you can obviously go look at that clip for yourself where he was talking about his playing career. But it's obviously Odell Beckham Jr. has a lot more in the tank. It seems like that he wants to play football again. So we'll see. We'll see if he's able, if somebody decides to take a chance on him sometime soon. But, it definitely would be nice to see him back in the league if he could play somewhat good football. Just be there as a good veteran guy for these the younger guys in the receiving room, because we obviously know he's not the same Odell Beckham Jr. that he once was, that we know him to be. But he is obviously would probably be a nice presence for some of your younger wide receivers in a veteran locker room. So we'll see what ends up coming from that situation. But I thought that it would be worthy to talk about that, since it has been a trending thing from recently. But that is it for the news and updates for the stuff that I have written down. We'll go ahead and continue talking about football here. We're going to review the week 5 that we just came from, the primetime games. What we saw and what we learned from seeing these teams play in primetime. And we learned a lot. Man. There were some great primetime games on this past week. We'll start with the Thursday night football game from last week. Mac Jones, man. So the 49ers faced the Rams last week on Thursday night football in LA, and no Brock Purdy for the 49ers. So Mac Jones stepped up again, and this was a 49ers team that was really banged up. And if you remember last week's episode, I thought the Rams were just going to crush them. And a lot of people did, really. We weren't expecting a whole lot from the 49ers coming into this game. And sure enough, Mac Jones, who was dealing with a knee injury, a knee sprain, a PCL sprain, came in and was absolutely resilient. And it was awesome to watch, honestly. Mac Jones, who's been, playing a lot of football here recently for the 49ers with Brock Purdy dealing with injuries and stuff. And he's played absolutely great football and has really fit into that 49ers offense and culture really, really well. And it's been fun to watch. And this was a great win for the 49ers, who moved to 4-1, I believe, on the season, beating a divisional opponent. And, you have to be really excited here if you're a 49ers fan. We were talking about before with the Ravens, being injured and still finding ways to win. This 49ers team is doing that right now, and it's great to see. I believe, Brock Purdy is out again for this weekend, so we will see Mac Jones again for the 49ers. We'll see if he's able to keep it up with what he's doing. But man, it was incredibly cool to watch Mac Jones do that this weekend. And now the discussion is, okay, when it's all said and done, next offseason, is some team going to be like, okay, maybe let's go give him a shot to be our starting quarterback for a little bit, kind of be like one of these tests, and we've seen that a lot here recently with guys who were believed to just be done with being a starting quarterback and just be backups for the rest of their careers. Guys like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, we've seen here recently with Indianapolis, as Mac Jones going to turn into one of these guys who's been a backup the last few years, and now all of a sudden is going to get his chance to start for a team. We'll see. But this, again, I think it all depends on, how much more we're going to see of Mac Jones, and we'll see where he ends up after this year. But for now, he's obviously taking advantage of every opportunity that he gets and playing great football. And it's really fun to see. And I would be really happy and excited if I'm a 49ers fan, not just because of Mac Jones, but you know that you have a team that's going to, no matter who goes down, they're willing to get right back up with the next man up, and they're going to continue to still be dominant as ever. Moving on to the Sunday Night Football game. This game was between the Bills and the Patriots, which the Patriots were able to come away with the last second field goal victory over the Patriots, 23-20. This was the Drake May spectacular, really. Him and Stephon Diggs were really able to get that connection going, and May was just finding Diggs all night. This game was back in Buffalo, so obviously coming home, a little party for Diggs. Obviously, emotional game for him, and he had a heck of a game, as did Drake May and that whole Patriots team, period. This was the Patriots team that we were really expecting to see a lot this season. This was the true Mike, if you are a Patriots fan, for the future of this team. We don't know what the rest of the season looks like. Obviously, I'm sure that team is thinking playoffs. They are going to try and scrap their way to the playoffs. They built this team around to make a playoff push. So we'll see. Obviously, it gives them a lot of hope and a lot of momentum beating one of the best teams in the NFL. They take on the Saints this weekend. We'll see what they're able to do with them. The Saints, of course, coming off their first win against the Giants, but you have to be really excited if you are a New England Patriots fan. You have a winning record. We're 3-2. Now let's see if the team can run with it. Now let's talk about the Monday Night Football game, which was really, really fun, and that was the Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Chiefs. And again, last-second fashion. It seems like all these games are coming down to the very last second. And them beating the Chiefs 31-28. So obviously, last second fashion, talking about Trevor Lawrence, they were giving the ball back. They had to go down and score a touchdown. It was 24-28. The Chiefs had just scored a touchdown. They put the ball in Trevor Lawrence's hand. The drive starts a little bit rocky, but Trevor Lawrence finds Brian Thomas for an absolute deep ball. And they just continue to have chunk play after chunk play. And sure enough, they get down to the end zone. They stall out just a little bit, have a couple mistakes. If you remember, they had the delay of game as well. And then they worked their way all the way down to the 1-yard line from a penalty, actually. They threw a ball into the end zone. It got tipped. The Chiefs intercepted it, but it was pass interference on the defense. So they got the ball on half a distance to the goal. And Trevor Lawrence takes the snap under center, trips and falls once, goes to get up, stumbles back to the ground again, gets up, runs into the end zone for a touchdown. And that was a heck of a win by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we thought we were coming into this game, the Chiefs had just whooped the Ravens. We're talking about, are the Chiefs back to being the Chiefs that we've known them to be the past few seasons? And sure enough, they played great. It's not that the Chiefs played bad by no means, but Jacksonville was able to just really strive and be the better football team that night. And look at Jacksonville go. Jacksonville Jaguars are 4-1 right now and playing some great football. And, I think that's just what happens. You bring in this new coach, Liam Cohen, and all of a sudden, this Jacksonville team is playing really fun football, fun to watch. Travis Hunter played great. Trevor Lawrence looked awesome. The defense looked amazing. Had the 99-yard pick six by Devin Lloyd. And man, again, I know I say this a lot, but when your team wins, but Jacksonville fans, you have to be excited about what you saw on Monday night. And let's see if they're able to keep it up, because I tell you what, if they are able to keep it up, Jacksonville will be very, very fun to watch for the rest of the season. And this AFC South, man, is all of a sudden it's between the Jaguars and the Colts now, who thought it was going to be that kind of race, and the Texans, they're still right there. By no means, let's not count out Houston, but man, we're seeing this AFC South run between teams that we did not expect to be playing this good of football with the Colts and the Jaguars. So AFC South is going to be a fun division to watch for the rest of the season, especially the Jacksonville Jaguars, who seem to have things clicking down in Duval. But that is it for the review. We'll dive into predictions at the end of the episode like we always do for this upcoming weekend. But now I want to talk about the MLB playoffs. So, let's start with what happened last night. I'm recording this episode on a Thursday. Last night, the Blue Jays knocked off the Yankees in Game 4 and are moving on to the ALS for the first time since 2016. This Blue Jays team is fun to watch, and the world really learned how nasty this Blue Jays team is. And, I counted them out. I was very wrong with the Red Sox and predicting them to go as far as I did. But, man, I'm really rooting for this Blue Jays team. And specifically, I don't know why the Yankees decided to still pitch to him, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just played one of the best postseason series that I've seen in recent memory. Man, the Yankees, he absolutely just owned them. He hit homers in the first 3 games, including the grand slam in Game 2. And then last night was still able to be productive, even though he wasn't hitting bombs like he usually did. But that team's playing like a team. The pitching is looking great. Let's see if they can keep it up and obviously still keep this momentum that they're riding. They beat their rivals, division rivals in the Yankees, who, again, we were looking to be a very nasty team. But the Yankees, we'll talk about them for a second. I had mentioned, I believe, in my predictions episode for the playoffs that, that this game or this postseason series as a whole should be looked at as boom or bust. If we bust, we got to get rid of Boone. We got to, really just figure out what exactly we are doing wrong that we cannot, this team, that we're not able to win a World Series. Because you look at this roster, this was a roster and really a team that should have ended up being the number 1 seed in the AL again, should be looking right back at making the World Series again and winning it for real this time. And they just weren't able to. And it's like a lot of guys weren't showing up. And, Aaron Judge hit great. But after that, it was just kind of like, okay, we hit good during the Boston series. And then we really just fell flat, especially the pitching too. With especially, Max Fried, having the bad, Max Fried and Carlos Rodon having their bad starts. And then, Cam Schlittler, I don't want to botch that name, and get taken off of YouTube. But he, I believe he pitched last night. He was the starter. He pitched fine. They obviously kept the Blue Jays more in check, but that bullpen really just also did not help them at all. But man, the Blue Jays really just whooped them. Like, it really was not even close. Like, sure, the Yankees were able to get a win in Game 3 and to force a Game 4, but man, this series was really just not even close. You could even see it last night. The Yankee players were really just looking defeated. And if you're a Red Sox fan, you would be angry. I was even talking to one of my buddies who was a not Red Sox, Yankee. If you're a Yankee fan, you have to be mad. I was talking to my friend who is a Yankee fan last night, and he's like, we need to get rid of Boone. We need to figure out what exactly is going on. We need to get a manager in here that's going to get the players playing right and is going to lead this team to a World Series title. And, I really don't know what that takes. If you're the Yankees, it just seems like at this point they're just cursed. But got to figure something out in the offseason. And, ultimately, I think it all comes down to your manager. So I think that there is a decision to come for Aaron Boone here real soon. I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't fire him, but at the same time, I would not be shocked if they did fire him. So, but we will see the Blue Jays ultimately heading on to the ALCS. Have a lot of momentum. Game 1 of the ALCS will be Sunday. So we will see who ends up making that, being their opponent, because the Mariners and the Tigers are going to Game 5, which we played. This episode's coming out tomorrow, which is Friday, so they will be playing tonight when you're watching this, but tomorrow for me here. The Tigers were able to win yesterday and force a Game 5, and this series has been literally back and forth, and I love this series. Playoff Javi Baez has come alive. this whole, both teams are just playing great baseball right now. And this has been a really, really fun series to watch. I'm very excited to watch Game 5 tomorrow if I'm able to. I know I will be at my high school's homecoming tomorrow night, a football game, but I'm going to do everything that I can to see anything from this the Game 5 of this series. But if you have not seen my last prediction videos, I had the Mariners going all the way and winning the World Series. And now all of a sudden I'm just kind of skeptical of that, seeing how Toronto's been playing. However, I'd like both of these teams. Whoever moves on and wins tomorrow night, I think will really give Toronto a very hard time in the ALCS. And I see that ALCS potentially going to 7 games. But ultimately, I would expect the Mariners to pull it off, especially with the game being played in Seattle. I think that home crowd is going to show up for them. These Seattle fans are really, really, they're starving. They're starving for it. You know, they haven't seen playoff baseball like this and playoff winning since 2001. I wasn't even born yet. I mean, this has been a big story surrounding the Mariners and Mariners baseball. And then finally getting over the hump and getting to the big one and winning the big one. So we'll see what they're able to do tomorrow night. However, if the Tigers do knock them off, I'm not going to complain because I love this Detroit Tigers team. I love what the Tigers are able to do. I love that. I love the pitching for the Tigers. I love the playing for. I love all the players for the Tigers and fielding wise, and they're really continuing to show up and fight their hardest in this series. So we'll see what they're able to do. But I'll go ahead and throw a prediction in there. I say the Mariners beat the Tigers and move on to ALCS just for my prediction standpoint. But we'll see. This will be, again, a very, very fun Game 5 to watch tomorrow night or tonight when you're watching this video. We have the other two NL games, NL Division Series that are going to Game 4s, which will be played tonight as of me recording this video. So you will see the results from these. Obviously, when you're watching this video, you'll know if one of the teams made it to the NLCS or if we're going to have a Game 5. If Game 5s are necessary, they will be played Saturday, the 11th. So, but we'll go ahead and talk these and discuss these. The Phillies and the Dodgers. The Phillies were able to beat the Dodgers last night and get to a Game 4. The Dodgers are winning the series right now 2-1. The Dodgers had looked dominant the first 2 games, and then the Phillies are able to wake up a little bit. And Kyle Schwarber, man, if you guys saw that home run that he hit last night, it was pretty much out of Dodger Stadium. If they can continue to get that, because that has been the big struggle for the Phillies here recently, is that they are just not getting production from the top of their lineup against the Dodgers here in the series. So if they can continue to get production from the top of their lineup, you obviously see how dangerous that Phillies team is. Ranger Suarez pitched last night, looked great, and really was able to keep this Phillies team in it. They play Game 4 tonight. I don't know who's pitching for both sides. Give me a break. But we'll see if the Dodgers win tonight, they're on to the NLCS. If not, the Phillies fight for a Game 5 that will be played Saturday. The other series, Cubs and Brewers. Brewers took the first 2 games. Cubs come in yesterday and get a scrappy win, 4-3, and they play tonight. Again, don't know who's pitching. Leave me alone. Don't bring the pitchforks. But this is another game. I love both of these teams. Just came back from Chicago and Milwaukee, if you remember. And I loved watching both teams play. Brewers, if they win, they're on to the NLCS. If Cubs win, they fight and stick around for a Game 5 that will be played Saturday. I think both teams could get it done. The Dodgers are at home, obviously, tonight. And then the Cubs, I believe I want to say they're in Chicago. I can check that real quick. So pardon me, actually. This is unjournalistic of me, golly, so unprofessional of me, and my ESPN app's deciding to freeze. But I believe they were in Chicago last night because they, of course, played the first 2 games in Milwaukee. So yes, that would make sense. They are definitely in Chicago, and if they have to go to a Game 5, that Game 5 will be played from Milwaukee. Same thing for the Phillies. If they go to a Game 5, that game will be played in Philadelphia. So we'll see what's able to happen. You guys will obviously know the results from what will be last night's game. whenever you guys are watching this video. So hopefully 2 great games will be played tonight, and we'll see if anybody's able to clinch and move on to the NLCS that we'll obviously be talking about here just a little bit. Which, by the way, free social media plug, I'll keep up with the games live when they're happening. So if you haven't already, go follow the Instagram, go follow the X account, go follow TikTok. I've even made a Facebook page if you use Facebook. So go and follow all of my channels. Subscribe here if you haven't already. Just a mid-show plug, but seriously, just keep up because I love to interact with you guys when it comes to especially watching football and baseball, with hot takes and all different kinds of things as well. But please, please, please go support me wherever that is. But that is enough talking about baseball. Let's go ahead and dive into the final segment of today, which we will be just talking about predictions and looking forward to week 6. As you guys know, we start from Thursday Night Football and then go on as scheduled here. Thursday Night Football, which is tonight. You guys will already know the results as of watching the video here today, whenever you're watching. But tonight we have the Eagles at the Giants. I want to go ahead and just say it now. This will probably be a clip that you will see from last night if I'm able to make one and get one from my studio and everything. But this game, the Giants coming off of a bad loss to the Saints. The Eagles finally took their first loss of the season against the Broncos last weekend. So both teams coming off of a loss. But I think Philly is able to manage this game pretty easily. Realistically, they should have beaten Denver last week, but Denver's scrappy, man. I love how this Broncos team's waking up a little bit and playing some good football and was able to fight back and beat the Philly team. And prove that this Philly team even is beatable, even when they aren't playing good football. Most of the time, Philly just wakes up all of a sudden. But I really don't see them having a struggle tonight. And I say this, and I'm just going to jinx them, and the Giants are going to beat the Eagles for all I know. But I'm going to take the safe route, and I'm going to go with Philly tonight. I think they get back on track here this week on a short week. They're able to get the Giants and beat them at MetLife and get themselves a longer break going into week 7. But yeah, I'm just going to take the safe bet. I think they, obviously come alive a little bit more. We need to get the football to A.J. Brown more. Obviously, seeing what happened on Sunday, they weren't really able to spread the ball to him a lot and get the football in his hands. So if we can really just get him the football, that would be better. Saquon Barkley, we need to get him going to look like the old Saquon that we saw here last year. And this is a game that I could see Saquon going off and being back in MetLife. There's probably a little bit of bad blood and hatred going into tonight's game for him. So maybe this is a game that he finally wakes up a little bit and he goes off a little bit. But ultimately, I'm taking the safe bet, and I'm going with the Eagles to win tonight. Sunday Night Football. Man, we got a doozy on Sunday Night Football. Everybody's going to groan because the Chiefs are back in prime time. They're facing the Lions. Chiefs, we already talked about them versus Jacksonville, losing to Jacksonville here this past week. And then the Lions, gosh, who'd they play? Geez, man. My mind's drawing a blank right now. They won. Whoever they beat, the Lions are 4-1, and they're playing great football. Here we say, oh yeah, they beat the Bengals. That's right. They were able to beat a struggling Bengals team who tried to mount a late comeback there at the end. Jake Browning, of course, was having that disastrous game where he threw 3 picks and then comes alive a little bit, and sure enough, mounted a late comeback that was just that wasn't really even a comeback. But Lions took care of the Bengals pretty easily. And now they have to go to play at Arrowhead, which is one of the hardest places to play in football. And this is going to be a fun game. I think the Chiefs, again, playing good football again, even though they did lose this past weekend in the Detroit, seemed like they obviously figured things out, suffering that week 1 loss. 4 straight wins. I think they keep it going here. I think they march into Arrowhead and they get a statement win. They get a statement victory, and Kansas City falls to 2-4. I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Lions team here recently. If they can continue playing the way that they're playing football here recently, really just double down on the way that they've played the last few years and not change anything, this Lions team is scary. I would love to see. I can't wait to see the future for this Lions team and what they're able to do this season. This is a team that's wanting to go win it all and haven't been able to last couple years. Even though it seeming like they've had all the right pieces. So we'll see. But for Sunday Night Football, I do think that they are able to win that game. And I think they're able to make a big statement in winning that game and beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Monday Night Football, we have two games on Monday night, which include, we'll talk about this one first, the 7 o'clock game, which will be played on ESPN, and that's between the Bills and the Falcons. The Bills go down to Atlanta. The Bills obviously taking the loss from the Patriots this past weekend, as we talked about before. The Falcons are coming off of a bye week and host the Bills after they beat my Commanders the week prior, and are looking to stay back on track and play like they did against Washington, where they just obliterated them. But the Bills, I think that they're going to be, I always tell people they struggle against the Patriots all the time. I don't know what it is about Buffalo, but literally, as long as they've been good here the last few years, they all have always just seemed to struggle against the Patriots. And, this Bills team is still, it's still one of the best teams in football. Let's not, mess around here, and let's point out the obvious. I think they definitely handle Atlanta here. The biggest thing is that how is Atlanta going to play in this game? Atlanta has been viewed very inconsistent this past year, with obviously seeing how it was before the bye week, where before they played Washington, they got smacked by the Panthers, who beat them 30-0, and then they play the Commanders, and it seems like, okay, they're able to figure out a little bit. They go into the bye week, maybe they figured out what was working, and they're able to come out of the bye week and really give Buffalo a run for their money. I think that'd be cool to watch, especially the fact that they are playing at home. Hopefully the fans pop out for them and support them, and really back them a little bit and give them some fight. But ultimately, I do think that it will come down to Buffalo, and I think that they will come back from a loss, and they will march right down to Atlanta. They will get a win and play Buffalo football and do their business. So I'm rocking with the Bills for the first game of Monday Night Football. The second game of Monday, if we all remember, which we should, if you're a football fan, you remember how this game went the last time the Commanders played the Bears. I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting right here in this room when the thing happened that everybody knows what I'm talking about. I was sitting right here with my cousin, and we were watching the game. I was depressed. We were out of it. We had scored nothing but field goals in that game, and all that happens, Jaden Daniels throws a Hail Mary, gets tipped and caught by Noah Brown. And I just remember running out of my room. We had family over at the time. And I ran out of my room. I ran towards the living room, and I slipped on the floor. I almost broke my hip, but I didn't care. I was just filled with adrenaline, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs because of how that game ended. Obviously, the Hail Mary, the Miracle in Maryland, whatever you want to call it, what that was. But this seemingly has started a rivalry, a non-divisional rivalry now, where we host the Bears back in DC or Maryland, excuse me, where we actually play, and the Commanders are wearing the black jerseys, the same exact jerseys that they wore against the Bears, and it's the only time I believe that we're wearing the black jerseys this year, which is criminal. We should be wearing those jerseys a whole lot more because they're sick. Also, if anybody from NFL or the Commanders are listening to me, please release black Frankie Louvu jerseys, please, because I want one really, really badly, and I'm willing to pay a lot of, well, not my money, but I'm willing to ask my parents to pay a lot of money to buy me that jersey. However, but anyways, now that we're done with that PSA, I'm excited for this game. I love trolling Bears fans. I know of a few Bears fans, and I'm really excited to see, this game is going to be talked about a bunch for obvious reasons. What happened the last time that they played? This is the 8 o'clock game on ABC. The Bears have got a couple wins under their belt here recently. the new coach and Ben Johnson now for the Chicago Bears. Coming from there, we'll see what they're able to do and if they're, maybe going to play good Bears football. But the Commanders, however, got the big win against the Chargers here this past weekend. Jayden Daniels is back, obviously picked up right back where he left off. You really saw how much Jayden Daniels means to this team and what he was able to do for Washington, how much better they looked. And this is no knock on Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota has played really good for the most part when he's had to fill in for Jayden Daniels the past 2 times last year, the 2 times this year. But the team just hasn't had the same feel and the same vibe and the same energy, missing Jayden Daniels and even Terry McLaurin we can add. But now they get Jayden Daniels back, comes back to really is a homecoming for Jayden Daniels against a hot Chargers team here recently who has been 3-1 and marched right into SoFi Stadium, and they were able to beat the Chargers in convincing fashion, 27-10. They played Commanders football. That was the team that I've been looking for all season long, to play dominant football, the defense to stand out, to get to the quarterback, to force turnovers. With the fumble caused by Quan Martin, Mikey Samerstill got the tip pick from Johnny Newton, who was able to tip that pass. And really, the Commanders look like the Commanders team that we've been looking for them to play like, and I'm excited for this week. Obviously, I'm glad that this game is being played on a Monday because we will see with Terry McLaurin, who did not practice today as of Thursday. I just got the alert as I was recording the podcast, or before I was about to start. Terry McLaurin's not practiced yet, but it's okay. We still got Deebo Samuel. We'll see what we're able to get with Noah Brown. But hopefully Terry McLaurin is here to play football here soon, because I really want to see Terry McLaurin get out there and be the Terry McLaurin that we've known him to be. Bill Prosky-Merritt was able to have himself an absolute day. The coming out party for Bill Prosky-Merritt. Man, it was fun to see and really just show the world why we knew he was really just so underrated. And we took him in the 7th round, and now he really gets this chance to show off what he was capable of doing. Hand him the football, hand him more. Oh, excuse me. I'm not able to talk. Give him the football more. You see what happens when you give him the football. I'm all for spreading the love around that running back room. I love the running back room that we have with guys like Chris Rodriguez and Jeremy McNichols. But, Bill Prosky-Merritt is an absolute dog, and losing Eckler, now we're able to just show him off more, get him the football more, play Commander football, and let's go make ourselves a little run here. So I am taking Washington on Monday. When would I ever go against them? I cannot wait to watch this game. Prime time. I'm hoping that they just continue to play exactly how they did against the Chargers in this game here. And I am, again, so excited to see this game, because I feel like that this is a game that you can have every single season, the Washington Commanders against the Chicago Bears, because it seemingly maybe has started a rivalry of some sort. We will see on Monday how that game goes. But, man, that's it for me. I appreciate you guys coming in to listen. I'm sorry again for the podcast being a day late, or a day later than it usually should be. Most of the times I like to get them out on Thursdays, but I wasn't able to record yesterday, so I squeaked it in here today, and I'm having fun doing this thing. So if you haven't already, I mentioned it earlier here before, but I'll mention it again. Please, please, please subscribe if you haven't already. Go follow all the socials. The @ for the socials will be down in the link below. Facebook, TikTok, whatever you prefer. Please, all of them. If you are a person who prefers to listen to audios more, I have a Spotify. Go follow the Spotify on Spotify, where you get the exact same episodes here, and you can just listen to them if you prefer it that way. But please support me wherever you go. I love to interact with you guys as well. Be sure to be on the lookout for future hot takes, picks, anything like that. And to come up with different ideas where I can intervene and get you guys spots here on the podcast and stuff too. And who knows, maybe we'll have a guest or two on here eventually. But for a little PSA here, because I won't name names, but I have been very much, I did not know starting a podcast would cause a lot of people to want to come on the show, but I'm very picky with who ends up being on the show. It's mainly going to be football and baseball guys, depending on what it is. But, we'll see who's able to come on in the future, but I really just wanted to establish myself here on this podcast and stuff before we started just jumping into guests and stuff like that. But again, that's going to be all for me this week. I appreciate you guys listening and for the support that you guys have shown me so far. Hopefully we just continue to get bigger and bigger as we continue to go on. But again, appreciate you guys stopping by and listening. I'll see you guys next week. But for now, I hope you guys have a good one.